The New World Order. Bush launches UN offensive on terror states. The Sunday Times of London, there's Bush and Tony Blair in their speech, New World Order, New World Order. NATO plan offers Russia equal voice on some policies. That's the New York Times. Here's the FM 3-19.40, Military Police Internment Resettlement Operations, Headquarters, Department of Army, Washington, D.C., 1st of August 2001, issued to all the military. That was good timing, right before September 11th. Bush law chief tried to drop habeas corpus completely, the Times of India, only got it dropped partially in the USA Patriot Act, Times of London. Line between military and civilian grows fuzzier. Even civil liberties groups moderate views on what's appropriate. See what letting some terrorists blow up a building does? Hitler blew up the Reichstag to get Nazi Germany going right after being elected. Bush did the same thing. Taking an Adolf Hitler play right out of Adolf Hitler's playbook. Terror war leads U.S. to embrace UN. That's the L.A. Times. See how it gets them what they want? UN says attacks show need for global court. They already have it. They want to expand its authority. EU to harmonize laws in name of fighting terror. It just goes on and on. Mexico shared border security plan. Los Angeles Times. And it gets into the UN with Mexican troops running the U.S. border. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Can't let America do that. We have less Border Patrol agents now than we did at the time of the attack. 1/3 have quit to go run the Border Patrol, to go be sky marshals. Abandoning the Constitution to military tribunals. You hear all this propaganda, how it's okay, getting you all used to it. But don't worry, the UN's taking control of Afghanistan November 25th. After years of sowing wheat, Afghans can now plant poppies. Now that the new global system's in, they can go back to shipping drugs for the CIA. That is the Associated Press, by the way. So that's just some of what they're getting out of all of this. You know, that's just a small portion of it. That's just a small portion. I know I'm going fast here. There's just too much evidence. There's no time to cover it all, ladies and gentlemen. We've gone through so much evidence, it's ridiculous. We've shown you the government trained, protected, shepherded the terrorists into this country, had prior knowledge. The government signed documents. They're now public. They've gotten giant approval ratings out of it. They've gotten so much control over our lives. A lot of Americans are buying this fraud. And we're going to lose this country. We're going to lose our freedom. Your children are going to be totally enslaved in the next decade as this incrementally is increased, as the heat is turned up with the frog in the pot of boiling water. You absolutely have to stand up and start speaking out against these travesties, these outrageous activities today, ladies and gentlemen. The police aren't bad by and large, nor is the military. They're good people. They believe they're fighting for America. They believe it was attacked. They're going to help the UN take over foreign countries. But is that really helping America? And who's gaining from all this? And now here in the U.S., it's rationalizing and being the pretext for face-scanning cameras and satellite kill switches going in many makes and models of cars, and thumb scanners going in at grocery stores and banks. Children in 100-plus school districts thumb scanning to get their school lunches. We've already talked about all of it. And all of that was in trouble. People were fighting against it from both political parties, from the whole spectrum. And now the police state has gotten a huge jolt. It's raging forward. But there's 280 million Americans. And if you'll just speak up against this outrage, if you'll just get involved and do the right thing today, now, many hands make light work. You're not going to save the world by yourself, but there are solutions. Before we hit these final pieces of news and information for you to talk about how the government's leaving the borders wide open and leaving every real national security crisis burning, and they're telling you to give up your rights. But before we hit on that final segment of news and recap problem, reaction, solution paradigm, I want to talk a little bit about some of the solutions. One big solution is to spread information, to support local radio talk show hosts who tell the truth and who document the different things that are developing around this world and in this country. You can make copies of this special report, 911, The Road to Tyranny. You can get the new film I have coming out that will have much higher production value with more video and more audio clips and actual people that were quoted in all these news articles. Listen to me. Get the film. If 1,000 of you make copies, that turns into hundreds of thousands of copies. And then people make copies of those copies. It turns into millions of copies. That's what's happened with my other documentary films. I do radio interviews every day in this country, on big syndicated shows, on small local radio programs. And every time I do an interview, or about 98% of the time, I've done like 500 in the last few years, people call in who have seen my documentary films. People call in who have seen them on Access Television, or saw them at church, or saw them at their local university, or it was shown to them at the local VFW hall. You're having an effect. Many people, many hands make light work. So please get this video out to everybody. I know I've gotten really excited through the course of this, but that's the only natural response that we should all have. Look at all this stuff, and I had to move quick. There's so much of it, and I didn't even scratch the surface. People say, well, the government wouldn't let those buildings get blown up. They'd get caught. You couldn't keep something that big a secret. They haven't kept it a secret. They've been caught 500 ways to Sunday, up one side and down the other. It's everywhere. And good people inside government are blowing the whistle and releasing these documents. The president allowed these attacks to take place and funded the terrorists. That is confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. So now it's up to you to take action and wake people up. Run for office, or someone who you respect. Educate them, and then try to get them to run for office. Or if they're already educated of the perils of the New World Order, what's stopping them? What's stopping you? And never turn in your firearms. Fight for the Second Amendment. They're attacking it at the state, local, and federal level. We've gone from 300,000 gun dealers in this country 8 years ago to only 25,000 in 2001, rolling over into 2002. They're suing all the gun manufacturers. They've got bills on the desk of the governor of California and areas like New Mexico, bellwether states, to ban all previously made guns and make you buy biometric thumb scan guns. This is how they're going to do it. They're brainwashing your children in the schools to turn you in for owning guns. I see 20 news stories every day when I scan the news wires. So don't turn in your guns. Don't turn over your private property to the phony environmentalists. Get control of your local communities. Pass United Nations free zones like many communities have done. The bottom line is you can resist. Resistance is not futile. You have to stand up against all this police state garbage that we've been documenting for years. Now is the time. Tyranny will come to your door in a uniform. Make sure that the people in the uniform understand what they're part of. They believe they're doing the right thing. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, but the societal manipulators, the map makers of the mind, the social architects, the New World Order crowd, know what they're doing and are creating these crises as the pretext. In fact, right now, let's go ahead and cover that. Earlier, we showed you what the federal government is up to with the problem, reaction, solution paradigm. Create a crisis, demonstrate fear. Then your media talking heads said, well, if we just give our rights up, this wouldn't happen, framing the debate as if you give up liberty, you get security. That never happens that way. It's tyranny. The Founding Fathers taught us that, told us that. History shows that. So they create a crisis, frame the debate, that if people would just give their rights up, the bad men won't get them anymore. And the people come in and do it. And as early as 1962, the Navy, this was reported in the Baltimore Sun and ABC News, the government wanted to blow up airliners, the U.S. government wanted to blow up airliners full of Americans, sink ships, bomb Washington, kill John Lennon orbit, and blame it on an enemy. Attack the Marines at Guantanamo Bay as a pretext to invade Cuba. Now, I'm no fan of that communist filth Fidel Castro, but you don't become Fidel to fight him. And we showed you those articles earlier. But here is the actual unclassified document. It was formerly top secret, special handling, now unclassified, justification for U.S. military intervention in Cuba. And it talks about we could blow up planes, sink ships, bomb Washington, and it talks about all the other people they could kill and what they could get done in 20-plus pages as a pretext for war and as a pretext for control. But this new war isn't a war against Cuba. It's a war against our rights, against our freedoms, to push in a highly scientific, criminal, cashless society to fully dehumanize society, ladies and gentlemen. So please get involved and wake up to it today. And remember, you do have power, and you're forced to fight this. You can lick boots all day. They're only going to squeeze on you that much harder. They've been slowly twisting